Hello and welcome in. I don't freaking know how to start these things. And this is the first episode. This is it. I just want to start off by just saying thank you for even giving me the chance or lending your ear to something as silly as this may become. But to start, I just wanted to say thank you for all the people that have gotten me here, who have supported me, no matter what platform that is. I truly appreciate it, and it's been such a fun and goofy and just eye-opening journey, jumping into the furry space as an outlooker and as an outlier in so many ways into something that is, my new accepting family. But yeah, this episode is purely just to kind of introduce myself and the podcast itself. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. It's really never going to have some kind of super well scripted thing. But it'll always hopefully provoke thought or laughter or joy. And that's kind of the goal with it. But to start, if you don't know, if you're just tuning in and this is your first freaking avenue to Rono and all the things Rono, my name's Rono. I am a hyena golden retriever. And before I became a furry, life was so different. Kind of when I became a furry is when I finally came out as a gay man. And when I say as a gay man, I mean I feel like sexuality is such not a fluid thing or a fluid thing. I don't really know how to explain it, but my best way of describing myself would be as a gay man. So yeah, that was kind of what I was before. That was just your normal run-of-the-mill guy trying to be cool and trying to fit in and doing whatever they could to make the world accept me. And it was always met with me just ending up being sad. And I tried for years to be a straight guy. I think I knew I was gay since middle school. Since I started, going through puberty, I would find myself being way more attracted or affected by men rather than women. I would find my friends talking about normal adult stars, and they'd be like, yeah, you know that one? And I'd be like, totally. And me, I'm just I have no clue who that is. But at the time I had stumbled upon, I was playing a game called World of Warcraft, and people probably know what that is. But 12-year-old me's I love World of Warcraft, and I'm and why do these cow men provoke feelings that make me excited? This is weird. And I would Google World of Warcraft art and then from there I'd Google deeper into that, so my parents couldn't find it, but I was smart enough to know what to Google at that time. And that's when I came across E621 and Rule 34 and those meccas of websites, and found Tauren art. We're just gonna say art because we all know what we're talking about. We all know, but we're gonna say art. I'd come across those and I was like, this is really cool. And from there is where I that's where I would browse, and that's where I would peruse for any kind of adult related content, even gay content. I didn't really watch a lot of gay normie stuff. It was always furry stuff, just because I liked that stuff the most. And I think it just goes back to a primal feeling of what furry is it's a fun way to have an avatar of yourself, but also put into it what you like. And that doesn't mean exactly what you want to be. It just means what you like, and that's what's cool about furries is you can, it's your sim, it's your it's your game created character that you get to craft and make into your own, and you get to be what you want to be. You get to be what you want others to see you be, and it's a safe way to be who you are if you don't feel like you're safe enough to express who you truly are. And I think that's where I found a lot of comfort in it, and a lot of safety was in this way of like safeguarding myself and almost lying to myself and being like, well, I'm not really gay. I just like furry men because they're not real. And so I think that's where I lied to myself for many years, up until I was 28 years old. And it was through furries that I became comfortable to come out, because I was in a previous relationship where it was very closed off, and without going into too much detail, I wasn't made to feel like my feelings were okay. A lot of it was religious guilt, and a lot of it was hidden away. And that was tough. I mean, that is hard. And a lot of furries I know deal with that same kind of guilt and shame that comes along with being gay. So I think the furry thing was a way for me to cope with all those negative feelings and negative emotions brought on by my previous relationship, which was a straight relationship. And it wasn't until I found like a furry Discord and a furry group of friends online that not only were furries, but they were also gay. And I learned like, oh, it's okay to be gay. And oh, like there's tons of people like me out there. Because it was a very sheltered or imprisoned is kind of hard, but also felt like that at times. And it was through that I finally worked up the courage to leave my previous relationship and start to pursue who I really am. And I hope to God that, people see me and see what I do and are like, dang, that looks like fun. He looks like he's happy. He looks like he's having a great time. I want to be who I want to be, and I want to have that strength to push through that. And I wouldn't be able to do that without my family. My family is amazing. If you've ever been in one of my streams, my parents pop in every once in a while. My siblings are so supportive. And without them, I wouldn't have came out and would have been, in that old kind of mindset. But after I came out, I still hadn't made Rono. He was always an idea, and it was always so funny because Rono was a character. If you know furry art, there's an artist named Sigma X, who is a dear friend of mine, and a dear friend. That is really funny. He's also a deer. But he had a character who was from Bambi. I didn't even know that character really existed. I had never seen Bambi 2 or anything like that, but he had a character. Oh, frick, my camera just effed up 1 second. I also have this camera that likes to move on its own if I hold my hand up. So if that happens, I'm sorry. Anyways, he had this character named Rono, and he was this sassy, like switch type character, and I really just vibed with his energy. So I kind of stole that from Disney and from Sigma, because the way he portrayed the character was just really fun. And I mean, the art is just muy bueno. So that's where I got that. And then Rono originally was pretty much a Kurama knockoff. If you've seen my chest, you can see right here I have this tattoo of Kurama. That's because I've always loved Naruto, and in my anime geek into furry pipeline, I feel like it's such a common stance for so many people. But I had originally based my character off of Kurama, and I actually have a picture here that I can pull up. Let me pull that up real quick. If you're watching on YouTube or anywhere, you can see this. I can show you my original persona. But it was literally a knockoff of him. I had taken away a couple of things and made him less fox-like and more hyena-like. And this was like one of my first friends I met in the furry fandom who offered to draw him for me. And that's where he started out. With not a lot of markings he was just pretty generic Rono-y type guy. Still super cute though, and still has a lot. I still share a lot of features with this original design. But as you can see, like, he was pretty much like a pretty chill color palette, same facial design, same eye marking, same gauges. But it wasn't until I was about like 7 months in that I had my really good friend Not Wiss, who's an amazing streamer, redesign Rono into what he is today. And I'll pull that up. It's a nice little visual. And that's where you'll see a lot of my color design and my color palette kind of shine and come out. There's a sun on his belly. That represents, the sunlight, the warmth, the joy that I hope a lot of my content can bring. He's also a sassy, sultry dude. And I mean, I feel like that is part of who I am too. I've always been a reckless flirt. And if you talk to any of my friends, they would tell you the same. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And you should embrace, what you're good at and how you act, as long as it's not detrimental to anyone else. No one ever forced me into being a furry. No one ever told me, what it would be like. When I went to my first furry event, it was invited by my really good friend Aaron Otter. He was a blue otter. He had found my Twitter, and he knew I was in the Chicago area, so he had messaged me. He was like, hey, I have my friend Divvy, who's another super influential part of this, Divvy Wolf, is having a party. You should come over and just, hang out with some furries. And at the time I was with one of my other normie gay friends, and he's like, ooh, this could be really interesting, because all I had known is the sexual parts of the furry fandom. I thought this was going to be some kind of crazy freaking orgy, everyone doing weird ish, and then I just walk in and be like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. So finally, like, we worked up the courage and we were like, let's just go, and if we don't like it, we'll just say we can't be here. We have like some other thing we have to go to, because we were in Boys Town in Chicago anyways. And we could always go back and just dance or something, and that is super fun as well. But we went to this furry party, and it was just so chill, and that's where I met some of my most close friends that I still see all the time and have forged such strong, like, friendships beyond any friendship that I've had, because I get to be truly who I am around them. And I'm not saying truly who I am being like a Rono. I'm saying like me and what I want others to see. And I feel like Rono and furries and your persona is such a good gateway into like showing people like what you like to be and how creative you can be. So that was my birth, my wet birth into the furry fandom. And from there, I got slingshotted. I got invited to so many fun events, met some of my best friends by going to cons, and Divvy helping me set up all these. I had never traveled, really. I was not a traveler. In the first year I was in the furry fandom, I flew more than I had in my whole life. It's just because of the opportunities that people just gave me and the amount of fun things that you can do as a furry. And you can get what you want out of it. It's just you have to know what you want. So it was definitely a gradual change. It was me kind of using an AD Twitter, and then I kind of learned AD means after dark. If you don't know what that is, it just, you can do a little more naughty things on there. You can post more naughty things. And that's kind of where I got known for. But then you make friends and they're like, can you like make an account that isn't just like sexual things? Because I like you beyond that. And that was really new for me. Because most of the time in many relationships, as I came out, it was like, oh, he's hot, I want to be his friend. And then it was just like this weird shallow relationship of just like sexual tension, where as I met people and as I grew into this journey, it was so much more than that. It was wanting to know life experiences, sharing like this deepest parts of me with people at a room party, and you sit there with some of your closest friends and you cry and you all cry and you're all like, dang, I struggled, you struggled, you're so much like me and I didn't even know it. So it's all about finding those groups of people, those groups of friends that really care about you. I remember when I got my fursuit head right here, and if you're not watching, I have Rono sitting right next to me. This was made by one of my really good friends, Rumwolf, and he was nice enough because he knew a lot of my struggle in life, and there's a lot of things that I don't share because they are private for a reason. There's a reason I used a different name, and I think everyone respects that for the most part. But he was a close friend that I shared a lot of really hard things with because he's been through a lot of hard things. And he just one day was like, hey, I'm making you a head. And I was like, well, like, I don't know if I can pay for that, because it was in the beginning where I wasn't making much off of this side of thing, and I was doing my full-time job, but I also have a lot of other bills to pay, and a lot of debt from my previous relationship and school and stuff like that. And he was like, no, you just throw it on your Twitter that, you know, I made it and it's just yours. And that was like one of the coolest, like, humbling and kind things anyone's ever done, because there was never an expectation of anything outside of just being a friend. And that was kind of new for me too, because usually there's like that give and take with any kind of relationship that I had been a part of with a lot of narcissistic people. And that was like a selfless kind act that I was just like, whoa. And I remember, you know, on my birthday when I turned 30 years old this past year, and we had this huge party at Divvy's house, and there was tons of my friends there just to celebrate. It was on New Year's Day. I remember just holding like Rono and just like staring at it and like reflecting on like where I was and how sad I was and how happy I am now. And I'm trying not to get like emotional or anything like that. But reflecting on that and just crying and just like staring at this little cutie here, because he's just, Rono was my way to safely become who I am. And being a gay person is hard, and a lot of people will play that off and be like, you just want to find something to complain about. But when I was straight, life was easy. I didn't feel scared to like tell people about my life or share sides of me. But when I came out, it was scary. Like, you're scared to tell your friends, to tell people that you at work, because you never know how they're going to react. You know, people just, they like to judge, and they don't like people that are different. So being gay is scary, and then being a gay furry is scary as well. But Rono was such a way to safely kind of put myself out there and test the waters, and then show people who I am. So I owe it a lot to this little cutie and this silly graphic, and all my friends and all the amazing people that I have met through Rono and through social media and through Twitch and Twitter and Telegram and cons. It's just the freaking best. I think personally I changed a lot, and I think change is good. I think a lot of people, when they're truly your friend and they're truly accepting of who you are, they don't expect you to be the same person you were a year ago. Because life changes, the world changes, and if you don't change, then I feel like that's wrong. I feel like you're not becoming who you are, and who you are can change from day to day, from year to year. Sexuality changes from day to day, from year to year. Don't ever make someone feel bad for flip-flopping between, you know, gay, bi, pan, whatever. It's all this kind of fluidity of how you feel, and I feel like it doesn't really matter, because they just want to be loved and accepted. And I think it boils down to love and acceptance. So when my friends say those things, I'm there just to support them in any way I can. And if they're struggling, if they want to talk, be that person for someone. Don't tell them they've changed. Accept them for changing. Push them to change. Because at the end of the day, if someone changes and it doesn't, if they're growing away, or if they're growing up, or if they're growing sideways, I want to see them happy. And if that includes me, great. And if it doesn't, that's good too. Because they get to be themselves and they get to find who they are. So as I grew and as I found more people, I found like an amazing group of friends that, you know, you have your tight-knit group. And it went from me wanting everyone to accept me, like I had fought for so long when I was trying to be a normie, that I just sat there one day and I had a really good conversation with my friend Klekai, and I was like, I don't know what to do, because I feel bad when I can't do this with someone, or I can't find a way to have all these things line up the way that people want it to be. And he was like, well, do you want everyone else to be happy and then find yourself sad at the end of the day? Or do you want to be happy and have those people that really matter be there for you? And that was kind of like, whoa, like, that's so true. Like, the people that really matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. And I know that's so funny to use, like, those kinds of analogies. But it's true. It's so true. And as I've been doing more of that, I find myself way happier. I find my group, this horrible flood of like trying to please everyone, diminishing, because people were just wanting that connection outside of what a normal friendship is. And that's just not healthy. That's not right. And clarifying what a friendship is and what a relationship is really important, because if someone's looking for something beyond just friendship, then you really need to analyze what that is. So my goals for Rono, for me, kind of align, is just to keep growing and keep finding who I am, while also giving people the inspiration and initiative to find who they are, and to feel safe and to feel accepted, because that's what we all want at the end of the day. That's what human beings want, is just love. And that's what I've tried to make Rono be. And love can mean so many different things, but love and acceptance are so important. I would love to see, you know, the podcast grow. I'd love to see the stream grow. I'd love to see Rono grow. I want to start a furry clothing brand that's not Rono associated, but just a fun expression of what I feel like is fun within the fandom, and what I feel like other people would find fun in the fandom. So I'm really excited to be starting stuff like that. I want to see more people that are queer, or more people that are not even queer, more people just dipping their toes in the fandom and learning more about it, and seeing that it's not this weird fetishized thing. Sure, it is fetishized, but that's freaking anything is fetishized. And that's what I always tell people. And that's, my mom has even defended furries. There's been people who are like, she works as a teacher, and other teachers have been like, oh my gosh, did you hear that blank is a furry? And my mom's like, so? She's like, what's wrong with that? And they're like, well, don't they all poop in litter boxes? And she's like, no, they don't, because I know a bunch of them, because my son's one of them. And they just have this fun group of self-expression, just like anybody who cosplays, anybody who likes to do anything that involves, you know, role-playing or dressing up. It's just an extension of yourself. And, you know, it's really cool to hear her do that. And I hope to see more people like kind of have fun doing it, because I've had so many people that, you know, they message me or they come up to me at a con, they're like, dude, I was scared to jump in. I was skeptical of it. I didn't want people to think I'm weird, but I feel so much better now that I have, because I just see that it's so much more than just this weird fetishized group. And that's why I find it really hard when furries exclude people of any kind of gender identification or sexual orientation, because you're excluding the excluded, and you are detrimental to people's personal health. And if I see that, when I see that, it is immediately shot down and immediately just like, no, you are fucking dumb for that. And I excuse like the fuck, but I don't give a shit. That is the stupidest shit I've ever seen, when people are uppity about being a furry, because we are the outliers that want to be accepted. And if we're pushing people away, that is the opposite of what this is, at least from my standpoint. I think as I grow older, furry will always be a thing. It may diminish, but it will never go away, because it's always been so much of a part of me since I first found it when I was 12 years old. It's always been something. And we can all grow and we can all like move away from things, but I don't think it'll ever go away from me, because it's always been just such a really good part of my life. And anybody who is, wondering like, how do I do it? What does this look like? My advice to you is go to a local con. Find something close to you. Download the app Bark. Find Telegram groups, find Discords that are furry. Go on Twitch and watch Twitch streams and interact with the audience for streamers. That's how a ton of my friends first got into the fandom. And I have a huge audience of friends that are in the Discord. I have my own Discord. If you're ever wondering, there is a link tree that you can get right into the Discord. And start interacting in the group there. It's super accepting. I've revamped it. I have some really good mods who are personally revamping it for me, who watch it on the daily to make sure that no one feels excluded or outcast or judged. It's also a zero tolerance, so if someone comes in and is rude, they are removed, so you can know that you feel safe. And join in on the Twitch streams, twitch.tv/Rono. You can jump in there. I stream Monday, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central, and then Friday, usually around like noon Central, and then Sundays at 9:30 a.m. Central. There's many ways you can jump in there and interact and learn more about it. Ask me questions. I love to answer questions. You can also support the podcast, especially through Patreon at patreon.com/RonoYeen. There you have a way to, get questions answered or have a part in what the topic of the next podcast will be. And they're always going to be goofy. This one is really serious, which is kind of very off character for me. But I also wanted to make it known what this is to me and how serious I do take it. Because I used to get people that said I was fake, that I'm not really gay, that I use furry to make money. And that is such a lie. I make very good money in my day-to-day life. I do this because I enjoy it extensively, and the money is great, and I would love to eventually be able to do more of it. But first and foremost, this is my family, and I am gay, and I wanted to make sure people know that I take it serious. But if you're wondering about being a furry, and even if you're not a furry, even if you just like funny podcasts, even if you just like pup stuff, it's cool to come in and be a part of it. You can be furry adjacent. I have so many friends that are furry adjacent, who enjoy the art but aren't into the culture of it. They just like the people of it, and that's cool too. It doesn't matter. There's no rules. Don't let people tell you there are rules. If people tell you there are rules, they are the wrong people. And always, I don't want to say always have your guard up, but just know who's for you and who's trying to use you. Because if they are making you feel guilty for pursuing who you are, they're not for you. And you need to think about what they mean to you and if they're even worth it. Again, if you're wondering more about me, more about the podcast, more about Twitch, more about Twitter, there is a linktree, linktree.com/RonoYeenie, RONNOYEENIE. There's tons of ways you can check out all the facets of media that I have. There's so many facets. And facets sound so much like faucets. And then that reminds me of piss. Okay, anyways. But I do truly appreciate you guys being here and being a part of this and supporting me in any way that you do. I can't wait to see what this brings. There's gonna be so many goofy, stupid episodes that you're just gonna be like, this is nothing compared to the first episode, but it is. We're gonna have special guests. I'm gonna interview artists, furry artists. I'm gonna interview, furries that have a large following, social media, TikTok. I have so many people that have already agreed to being on the podcast, and also we'll have people that are just a part of the community on. From Twitch, from Twitter, that and you'll see, and I hope to be something that you can look forward to as like a breath of fresh air, because there's so many podcasts that I watch that I'm like, God, I just needed this. I needed a laugh. I needed to just, smooth my brain out for a little bit and just pursue something. So I truly do appreciate you guys being here. I can't wait to see you at the next podcast and at the next stream. Make sure that you do follow. If you're on any kind of social media, just try and follow me so you can see when they're coming next. But I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, wonderful day. I hope you find and do something that you love. And know that it's okay to be you, and that if anybody tells you otherwise, that I'll beat their ass. I'll beat their ass, or I'll give you a hug. Actually, I'll do both, because I like both. I don't know how these things fucking end, but I'm gonna play out with this cool piano solo that I found on YouTube, and it's non-copyrighted too. So let's listen. Hit the nay to it. So much love. Mwah.